Our next guest warns Iran's long-range missile capability is one we should be afraid of. Iran scholar and author Benham Ben Blue joins us right now. Great to see you, Ben. First off, your reaction about the fact that they shut down their airspace yesterday. They let that known, made everybody think an attack was about to happen. Did they make a mistake? And was that rocket supposed to, whatever attack was supposed to happen, was it postponed because of that?
Pleasure to be with you. Listen, I think you put your finger right on the money, but it's not a mistake. I think the regime has been enjoying thoroughly the hyping and the coverage, and in essence, the fear of the stories coming out of Israel right now about people buying generators, about people taking cash out of ATM machines. In essence, right now, the Islamic Republic in Iran is looking to respond militarily against Israel, but it doesn't really know how because Israel has escalation dominance. There's potentially a missile attack coming, or potentially a terrorist attack on an Israeli embassy, or potentially an attack by one of Iran's proxies in the region against potentially the Israelis or the Americans. There's something in the works, but until that something is actually decided upon, it seems like the regime is thoroughly enjoying coming up with all these different ways to spook the West, and in Israel in particular.
Benham, tell me how significant this is. That ISIS-K attack a couple of months ago, and now they have militants trying to shoot up their IRGC inside Iran. They got some internal problems, and they got outside terror going at them, too, don't you think? And they also have an obligation to supply the Houthi rebels, Hezbollah, and Hamas.
Absolutely. You know, there's a massive chasm right now between the state in Iran and the street in Iran. You know, since 2017, but most importantly, since 2022-23, there's been massive nationwide protests against the Islamic Republic. Since 2009, for instance, you've had the Iranian people chanting, "Not Gaza, not Lebanon, my life for Iran." Not only is this regime's foreign policy unpopular, the regime itself is unpopular. So it's under massive domestic pressure. And ironically, every time you've seen the regime be under massive domestic pressure, it tries to flex foreign policy muscles abroad. So, you know, I would expect the regime to try to do something publicly to signal resolve to both domestic and foreign audiences.
Iran's famous for using proxies. Do you really believe that they want to attack Israel and risk the wrath of Israel's response? As Benjamin Netanyahu says this morning, we're in the midst of a war. Whoever hurts us, we hurt him. We are preparing to meet the security needs of the state of Israel, both in defense and attack. So Israel's prepared for this. They know the main problem in the Middle East is Iran, but they use others to attack to have some type of deniability. Would they just drop the guys right now?
The regime has actually slowly been increasingly dropping the guys. Since 2017, there's been more public, attributable missile and drone operations from Iranian territory than ever before. The key thing is they've never done it directly at Israel. They understand that Israel has both the capability and the intent to respond massively. So in this instance, you may see something from the proxies. But, you know, this is a regime that can walk and chew gum at the same time. And that's the thing that we have to keep our eye on in the next few weeks. They could use proxies. They could use missiles directly. And now is the time for Biden and the rest of Washington to coordinate their messaging with Israel to make sure they can deter Iran.
Benham, if this threat was real, which we heard was real last night, evidently we've had our way of communicating to Iran that we have Israel's back. Do we?
You know, we might think that we've sufficiently communicated this message, but the gap that the Iranians and the proxies and the whole axis of resistance have been able to create between us and our most important partner in the Middle East publicly since October 7 and since the war is with Israel responding against Hamas in Gaza, the Iranians might think otherwise. And that's dangerous when the Iranians are bridging their differences with their partners and we're exacerbating our differences with ours.
Benham Ben Blue, thanks so much.